Blessings of grace and peace to you all. We're coming to you live from our SlyMedia studios here in the capital. We are live on The Set, a show brought to you bringing celebrities sharing their inspirational journeys and stories of where they came from, where they're going, and what they want to achieve within the community. My name is Wadzanai, and today our guest is Albert Takudzwa Chigiya, philanthropist and actor. But before we get to him, we'll take a short break.
When you think of having the best, world-class, hassle-free, corporate or personal events, think Real Sound. Offering a wide range of products and services with different sizes for LED and TV screens to suit different occasions. There's state-of-the-art PA systems that give you real sound. When it comes to event lighting, Real Sound is the best, not to mention the Sparkles machines. Want to appear in another planet? Try the cloud and smoke machines. There's also top executive furniture for corporate events. For all your virtual meetings, look no further. Get in touch for a free quote for your next event. Contact Real Sound via email or phone number. Real Sound, just passion.
Welcome back. We are here on The Set with Albert Takudzwa Chigiya, our guest for today. Remember to share, like, and repost the page so that Zunoshiko Kuneva Kawanda. Albert, welcome.
Hi, Wadzanai. Thanks so much for having me.
Oh, we're glad to have you. Ndiweka wokuitsa controversy muma streets Tendai.
And this is my TV chat. In real life, I'm a very nice person.
I think that's why we're here, so that at least we get to know that side of you at least.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, so maybe just to start off, maybe tell us where your journey began and how you got into acting.
All right, so my name is Albert Takudzwa Chigiya, as you've already reiterated. I'm an entrepreneur. I like to call myself an entrepreneur, a bit of a philanthropist. I do what I can, and I'm also an actor and a content producer. So my journey, I think it began way back when I was at MSU in 2014. So it just happened by accident. One day I was just sitting at the campus and I was observing something, right? And I realized that, people were bored. People were used to the traditional modes of entertainment, and nobody really enjoyed what we call class entertainment. So what we did by these two friends of mine, we started what was called the Glamour Awards. So the Glamour Awards were basically a youth award show that recognizes everything from sports, arts, youth, education from a youth perspective, right? So when we started the show, we started as a joke actually, because we just wanted to see how people would react in the event that we start something like that. And then, the rest is history. Everybody liked the show. We did the show. And then I met this friend of mine. It's called Debbie Beta. Debbie Beta is the creator of Wadiwa. Okay. Now, I'm not an actor. I just acted by accident because what happened was he was doing production of Wadiwa. And if you remember quite well, I came on episode 6 on season 1. So he called me and was like, so I need you to do this, this character, this set. I just want to see, because I've been casting people and then they are not really like what I'm looking for, because that character was supposed to be hated by people. That's what people don't get. They thought that I was supposed to be liked by people when I came, of which it was the direct opposite, because when we got the script, it clearly said that you are supposed to be hated by everyone. Not that hate of Kuti bad actor, but hate you as the character.
Yes.
So I was like, I don't act. When have you ever seen me acting? And then I was just like, just show up on set and then we'll try, we'll make a try run. It fails. And then when I came on set, I just did my thing. And then he was like, exactly, this is the kind of person that exactly I'm looking for. So I guess that's how it started. But outside of acting, we do a lot of things. But, acting is I've always wanted to be an actor somehow. I just didn't get the opportunity, but I just didn't think it would come, on Wadiwa. Because when I was watching episode 1, 2, 3, 4, I was just like, oh, it's nice. But I never thought that I would be there. So I think that's how the acting thing started. And
it didn't affect you, that people didn't like you? Because now it's not just in the TV, even outside. I heard a couple of people were saying they want to beat you up for some reason.
Some people actually tried to. I was chilling with this friend of mine this other day at this spot, right? And these guys came up to me and they were like, they were very serious. They actually said that want to beat you up because you wanted to my ghetto youth. I don't gas namari. So I had to explain to them that no, you know what? It's not that deep. It's a TV character. It's supposed to teach you something. So if if kana uri kuisa emotions maybe kutora the wrong things that you're supposed to learn from that. But it didn't affect me at all, because I knew that people are hating the character, not the person.
Not the person.
Because I'm sure like half of our I don't know, millions of subscribers don't know the person, they know the character. So to me, I just take it from a perspective that they're not hating the person, they hate the character, not the person.
All right. And how has it been? Because I take it, Kuti, from Glam Awards, people didn't really know you because Wango sit up forefront as such. But as you got into Tendai, people now know you.
Now, it's a problem. It's a problem. I thought I could get used to it at first. And at first, I don't want to lie to you, it was exciting. Because every artist, every musician's dream is to people freak out. They don't take pictures, you get those favors. Someone faster. But now, instead, now, I'm going to take a hip. But it's an amazing experience, because I know, like, if you look at the terrain and the kind of audience that we have in Zimbabwe, be it as it may, we don't want to say it, a lot of Zimbabwe are very critical about TV things, they're very critical. It's very difficult for you to produce something, you're half of the country.
Yeah, true.
So the support that they've given us, because I remember this other episode, season 1, episode 9, it went, I think, about 100,000 views in 59 minutes.
Wow.
I think that kind of support from coming from your hometown or home country is amazing.
Yeah, that is amazing. And shooting, given you liked acting, but you weren't really much of an actor.
Yeah.
So would you say there was one time that you had a bad episode and you were just there like, hey, Nasu Jaramba?
I didn't really had a bad episode, but I was struggling with the lines. I was forgetting the lines. If you see like my behind the scenes on my Instagram, the director is always with the script, and I was trying to learn. But I think when we got to, I think, about episode 9, 10 or season 1, now I was used to it, because with the other university, I think with a cream pass forget.
Yeah,
so
true.
I was having a very difficult times, and I'm glad I had help. And this friend of mine, Jilon Mafugide, is the one on Hector Biko. So he was really helping with the lines, because he started acting a long time ago. So he was just like, what, if you want to remember this, do this and that. But I wouldn't say I had a bad episode. I think the whole process was fun, because you're working with new talent. New talent is very amazing. So we had so much fun working together, and the directors, even on season 2, they brought in new writers and new directors, but still it was a fun experience, just getting to know other people and get to see which is like, how is it from the creative process when you're watching Wepa, because when I'm watching by YouTube, it's a whole lot of process, but definitely it was okay.
And how were you in school? I go on it.
I was an average student. You know what? There's this one time when I was at MSU that I actually got surprised. But how the hell did I get to university? Because I was just like, I can say 100 offer, but I was just an average student. Which about grade 7, maybe 10, or 7, but see, when they were 6, so I wouldn't say, but I think at school I was just like, okay, where we'll go to once you know, but the fees, but
you're going to pass one in Yasha.
Yeah.
Oh, no, that's good. Because most people have this belief, Kuti, when you're acting, it's because Chukoro Charamba.
No, not it. I actually have a degree in Bachelor of Arts, English and Communication, and a degree in Psychology. So it's not because Chukoro Charamba, sometimes it's just, it's something that you want, Because a lot of people, what they don't get, right? I see a lot of musicians, artists, now that I'm in the industry, I know a lot of people, right? And when you see an upcoming actor or an upcoming artist, their problem is if they try to pursue acting and they see it's not rewarding them financially, they are easy to give up.
Okay.
They don't try to figure out where is it, or where is the market, or which route should I take for this talent to nurture me. That is why, which is when I'm maybe because charamba or anything, but so you really need to know this is what I want. It doesn't matter that it has rewarded you right there and then. It doesn't matter that it is you, because if you hear these inspiring stories of these actors, but not just Oscars or and you can stories, you know that it's a whole lot of process.
Yeah.
Like for example, Tom Cruise and Minority is worth about $500 million and so, but it doesn't even Oscar. But he's not saying I'm not making a movie anymore. I'm this big shot in Hollywood, but I'm not making any movie because I don't have an Oscar. It's not even Samuel L. Jackson. He got an Oscar Oscar last year, of which he has a movie, an Oscar 100. You know, but I'm talking about blockbusters. He's on Avengers. You know, that's the highest grossing movie of all time.
Yeah.
But he only received an Oscar last year. So you know, sometimes it's not about that. You know, school has failed or chichi. It's just you just have to know that this is what I want to do. You know, in India to be a full time. To pursue acting. I would pursue it. You know, the bridge because I know that this is what I want to do. Because if you want something, right?
Yeah.
You're an actor, you're a musician, you're a TV presenter like you are DJ. If you want something that is big, right, and you pursue it, the universe will conspire for you to get it.
Sure.
But the only price that you have to pay is time. Time is very important. You're not Black Panther as it. I'm just gonna go through a whole lot of process for that to come.
True.
So I think that's the basis of all this acting and the entertainment thing.
Yeah, I remember you just mentioned Kuti, if you have to be doing this, February.
Exactly.
I saw a picture of you circulating
On social media.
On social media,
Yeah.
kushiba, so
Unemadaka.
yeah.
It's actually quite a funny story because I don't get why people blew that out of proportion. Because what happened was I was in Warren Park, right? So I was with this friend of mine, and this friend of mine, there's a car park that's just besides the road. So
Okay.
there was a car parked in the road. So this friend of mine said, just go next side to go, but I could see it Panamadaga, go next side go. And the moment we tried to go Motega by New Madago, so Garani exhaust. You see, so
Okay.
it was a problem now because I had to push the car and the person had to drive it out of there. That is why I done the Madaga and stuff. And then I'm the one who posted that picture first. You see, I'm the one who posted, and I put a caption, you see, don't let social media lie to you, blah, 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 right? And then I'm sitting there in the morning, I'm seeing, these pages and these groups and these social media pages are posting that I was drunk or was probably caught with someone's wife. So
Yeah.
but at that point I was used to it because, you know, I don't get one of Zimbabwe. Wrong. They never post anything positive. They just wait for a tablet.
Auntie, you literally signed up to be hated. This is what happens.
No, but I'm used to it now. I don't get even fazed by people who post like this person has done this and that. Plus, there's a law now that prohibits you from posting things that could defame me, which is very serious.
Yeah.
So if I see that you've posted this and I didn't agree with it, I can simply get you arrested. So, you know, I'm no longer fazed by that.
That is a warning.
It's that.
All right. And, okay, you're saying, Kuti, it doesn't really faze you now. But then, like, how do you advise like the young people that are coming in, my upcoming artists? It's not everyone who's got a thick skin.
Yeah.
So what would you tell them in terms of social media? Because social media, like, yo.
Yeah, like, do you know what? Social media, right? I think there's a point that we try to abuse it. You know, I've been in parliament and I've actually said at some point, you know what, we should regulate people who use social media, because at that time I didn't understand that, you know, there's freedom of speech, freedom of will. I can do whatever I want with my phone. It's my account, it's not yours. Right? But I just want to encourage these young people that are coming up that, you know what, you should focus more on your craft than social media. You know, I know you watch my statuses, you watch my social media. At first, I was really trying to convince people that I'm a nice person. Please don't do this. Don't say bad things about me, right? And then my dad was like, you know what? Do you really think if it was me, akagara pasi akatora pictures vaitaura nemanewspaper nechichi? But I didn't know exactly. If they're talking about you, then you're a big deal. It's because people don't talk about people who are just people, right? So instead of that phasing, you should be like, you know what, if you don't talk about me, there's no one you will talk about. So no publicity is bad publicity, you know? You just have to use social media to the benefit of you, you know, posting your content, making people see, but don't try to go on Twitter. When I first came on Audio, I went on Twitter and replied every negative comment that was said about me. I'll make sure that I go there, reply, and tell you that is none of your business. Up until I realized that I was wasting my time because this person doesn't know me. They're just hiding behind data and a keyboard, and then you're trying to invest all your emotions in that person. So just like, you know what, if you want to say anything, you want to say, as long as I know that it didn't happen that way, then it's definitely fine with me.
All right. You mentioned being in the parliament. Why were you there?
So, you know, I know a lot of, like, you know, influential, you might say influential people or big people. So sometimes, you know, I get asked for advice. You know, there's this, if you go on my Instagram, there's this picture that I was with the Minister of Finance and then the Deputy Minister of Health. I was with also the owner of Daily and Newsday. Mr. Trevor Ncube. So these people, like, you know, I think it's a privilege that sometimes they respect your opinion, so they would ask you that what you think about this, and that. So I'm privileged that sometimes I can go online and try to say my mind on what I think about a certain policy or so. So I'm not that into politics though. I'm not that into politics.
Right.
It's just that, you know, I'm happy to contribute wherever my opinion is needed.
All right. As stated before, we're joined by Albert Chigiya, well known as Tendai, from Wadiwa, Wepa, Moyo. So please keep sharing so that most people get to know the other guy behind the screen and not that's the guy that you are used to seeing. So with that, we'll take a break.
With 2023 beckoning and the election frenzy in the country becoming more stronger each day, politicians are increasingly becoming visible, making more and more promises.
Primary education from grade 1 to grade 7 must be provided completely free.
Every village, in 3 years, there will be a ball in Orana solar.
patinongopinda chinhu chekutanga kukudzororai pamakaziva navamugabe toda kudzorera maticha kwavaiva kwokuti ticha aizikanwa semunhu aitenga zvikoti zheadmaster nenyaya yokuti anga ane udzamu nejikiniki.
But are these promises going to be fulfilled? The electorate is pondering on who to vote for in the council, parliamentary, and even presidential election. We bring you the candidate, where we interrogate their plans, their manifestos, their programs, to make sure that we give you information to make a choice on who to vote for. The candidate on SlyMedia TV every Wednesday from 6 p.m.
Welcome back. We are on the set, joined by Albert Chigiya, Tendai. And he's sharing with us and giving us my warnings. So maybe now let's get a little bit personal. We want to know, okay, if you hadn't ventured into acting, MSU, you were talking about what you studied, what would have been like your dream job?
I wouldn't say a dream job, but maybe...
You don't dream of labor.
I don't dream of labor. No, but I think I would go definitely... If I was an actor, I would actually like to be a musician. You know, I can sing. I definitely can sing, but I think, you know, I would definitely venture into something that's into showbiz, because, you know, showbiz is, you know, it runs the world. You know, it runs everything. It runs your opinion. It runs what you want to eat. So I would definitely go into that if I was in acting. But, you know, but then again, you never know. Maybe I would have failed if I tried to be a musician or an actor. So I think it's a blessing that, you know, we did something that made us realize that, you know what, this is what I want to do, definitely.
Okay, and my Glam Awards, how were they? Are you hosting them this year?
Yes, we're hosting them in July. The Glam Awards, they are very exciting because the thing with the Glam Awards is they belong to the youth. You know, they recognize everything, but from a youth perspective. So everything, even the themes, even the whatever that you're going to see there is there to uplift the youth in some way. So I definitely think that, you know, people should come through. It's very nice. They can go check them online, the Glam Awards Zimbabwe, on our Instagram, on our Facebook. You can check us there. We have content. You can actually watch last year's awards. They were done online. I think we were the first to host an online award show after people said that can be done, it will fail, wow. So if you go on our Facebook page, you can actually get to see the awards that we did for 2020 to 2021 last year. And then you can get to see the feel of how the Glam Awards are hosted. So
would you say you're an events planner as well?
No, I'm not an events planner. So what I do is that I come up with the ideas and then I give the team who are event planners to execute. It's too stressful to be an event planner. I tried to do it in 2015 when I started the Glam Awards. I almost died. Yeah, so I can't say I'm an event planner, but what I do is I try to research, come up with ideas that, you know, and then give to my guys who are event planners to execute the job. Yes.
So where do your ideas come from? Because it's a different thing every year. So where do you get the inspiration?
I don't know. You know, with the Glam Awards, right, it just happens by observation. Like I said, at first we were observing, and then so we try to observe even the categories. You know, our constitution allows us to change it in relation to what's happening at that time.
At the time, yeah.
So, you know, some might just, they just come, some you just observe, you'll be like, okay, this is what we want to do. We will do this and that, and we'll move so and so in an attempt to push such kind of narrative. You know, so it just depends on the trends, what's happening right then, what's happening in the circles, my youth.
Yes.
And that's where we derive our themes and what are we trying to recognize this time to bring to light. Because usually if you see the Glamour Awards, they don't recognize they try to uplift new talent, the people that you don't know about, bring them to a platform, you know, where people are more interested in, they can get more opportunities.
Okay, and from the people that you've worked with, is there someone where you met them there and their story kind of like just touched you? So, yeah,
I've definitely met a lot of people who've told me their stories. Some are personal, some, you know, their journeys. And you can get to see that sometimes we don't want to do things because we think we have it difficult, but we don't. There are people who have it so difficult, but amidst that adversity and challenges, they manage to do extraordinary things. You know, so I think that's sometimes where my inspiration comes from, because, you know, I know a lot of people who but what they're doing right now with their time in life, they didn't let that adversity, you know, shun them to say, I'm just going to feel sorry for myself.
Yeah.
They just actually rise up to the challenge. So definitely I've met some people, and I think in the journey we're going to meet some more people who even have bigger and inspiring stories, so that we can use those, you know, to uplift those like, you know what, I should give up now, or of which you are looking at the wrong things now, because that's the problem with a lot of youth. If they're into showbiz, they quickly look good, and I'm supposed to move out in this fancy apartment, supposed to have this kind of phone, but you're looking at it the wrong way.
Yeah.
Because if you try to chase the money, it will not come. Right? That's the bad thing about showbiz. If you try to say, it doesn't come. But if you try to perfect what you're doing, you cannot compete with the person who's acting for passion, while you are trying to act to pay the bills. There is no way that's going to happen, because that person is doing it because they love it. It doesn't matter that they're going to get paid, they're not going to get paid, but at some point they know they're going to get paid. But if you compete saying, okay, so I just want to be paid this kind of money, do this and that, at some point you're going to be jammed up, because you're not going to get that money, and then all your passion is going to go away. So you have to pursue it from a point of view that this is what I want to do. It doesn't matter. I myself, 5 minutes, I'll do wonders on that 5 minutes. So, you know, it's that kind of thing. So I think, you know, that's the route that we should all follow.
Okay, and from the way you're talking, you're quite passionate about the industry.
Yes,
like
definitely.
You're really passionate. And is it, Kuti, someone inspired you in that way? Or where do you get all this information? Because not a lot of people have it, eh?
Yeah, I think I read too much, you know. I'm that one person who reads, like this year I've actually I've read I think about 7 books by now. You know, so I read too much, and I try to read the stories of these kinds of people, because, you know, there are some people in this world who are so extraordinary to a point that you think they have blue blood, but they don't. They're just like you. It's just that when they faced whatever they faced, they just realize that, you know, everything will just go away at some point.
Yeah.
You know, you can't just say, I'm going to be stuck in this phase forever, because we never know. Today I might be here saying about Wadiwa, next week I'm on Spider-Man or Avengers. You know, because that's what life is crafted about. If you're passionate about something, it will just come to you. Because a lot of people ask me, Kuti, how did you get into acting? I didn't get into acting. It just came to me because I was passionate about it. I was following it up. I just followed with people who do my production stuff. And one day it just came to me. You know, I didn't audition. I was just called. Like, you know what? I want you to do this, and just came. So I think, you know, that's basically where I get my inspiration from.
All right. And for people that don't have those links, who want to get into art, to acting, who want to get into whatever sort of industry, what would you tell them to do?
You know, I would like to advise, especially young people, that, you know what, like I said, if you're passionate about something, you follow it. You know, that's what you should use social media for. Not you're misusing it, because these days we have an existential crisis that we are provided with an infinite resources to look up whatever we want. Order beggar to happen up. You see, so we have so much stuff that we don't know what to do with it. That's why people abuse social media. But instead of doing that, you could be using it to follow. There are a lot of production houses in Zimbabwe, a lot of them, and they are always looking. There are a lot of websites. They stand now where you can upload your profile and say what you want to do, and then they'll contact you. But people don't know about those things because they really like following tabloids instead of getting maybe on LinkedIn to try to see what's production house in Zimbabwe right now. Which advertising agents could I go and pitch my deal to right by advertising? I could do this and that. That's how you can use social media constructively rather than just you following tabloids. I know I actually do it at times. Doctor not but you should limit that and put more energy in constructive use of social media so that you can get the opportunities that you want.
And who inspires you? Locally, internationally, who would you say you look up to?
If you
have one.
Not look up to really, because I'm one person who's against the idea of mentors because I've always stood against it, because what works for someone will never work for you. That's why we have different fingerprints, all 7 billion of us. So but I would really say that there's some people that I just take inspiration from because I like their stories, like in Zimbabwe. Maybe I would say comic pastor is one person who changed. He took something and made a whole thing out of it. And then obviously there's Lana Gurira, obviously Tongai Chirisa, and international my favorite. I think I have 2 favorite actors. My number 1 favorite actor is obviously Denzel Washington. He's the best. Nobody can come close. And this guy, he's white. I think his name is Jensen Ackles. He's from this series called Supernatural. So I think those 2 are 2 people who are internationally looking at. But I take inspiration from everyone. Whether to do about music video, I share the phone. It's not because I looked at the statistics now, but it's just that person, like he has something to tell. He might not have the resources to tell it properly, but he definitely has something to tell. So I think
that's where you're coming from. No, we understand. I understand. I get that.
Yes. And
also, when it comes to getting into the industry. Or being summoned into the industry, like what happened to you. There's certain things where you have to learn whilst on the job. What is that one thing that you were just there like, guys, I'm going to tip it on this certain way of a camera?
I think it's scenes where you're supposed to be intimate. When you see that those things on Hollywood, they look funny or they look easy because you can just kiss someone out of nowhere. But it's a different story in real life because a lot of people think when those things happen, right? There'll be like a bunch of people. There are script, there are producers, there's the sound people, there's what, and then you are told like, kiss this person, and it's not that easy. I used to think it's just easy. I can do this and that, but it's not. I think that's one thing that I asked my director friend, like, you should have told me that, And if you mess up, you can repeat it. I think 17 times. Because
you can mess up a kiss.
Yes, you can. You can actually mess up an egg or a beer or something, and you have to repeat that same process over and over again. So I think those intimate scenes are the ones that I was just like, it's a problem. But then when you are passionate about something, you just research about it. You try to learn how you can do it, and in the end, I think you can perfect it.
I think now we can get into your philanthropic work. I noticed that you have a trust that you work with.
Yes.
Yes. Can you tell us more about it?
So we have what is called the Decibel Trust. If you remember, Decibel is the R&B. He used to be like the R&B king in the 2000s. Of course, he did not give up music, but he just tried to pursue something else. So what we did is we just came up together and we started an organization that actually recognizes and uplifts and promote and empower young people in sports and arts. So what we do is we try to research, find proper channels, proper teams, proper sport or any arting activity that needs us to help them with something so that they can get to the next level that they do. And art is very important. If you go to Atlanta, right, Atlanta Airport in the USA, all the art that's there is Shona art. It's actually written in Shona kuti chiveza iji chakanyora na niki. So that means that there's a big market in those in Europe, in America for our art. They are hungry for something that's traditional. That's because I was very surprised when I saw that. I was like, from Zimbabwe, right? So I think we should invest more and more in sports and arts because like we said papa in the average student, which means kana kune munhu ari below average kana panakabudana sei ma C kana kubudana sei ma D, and then those people have a talent that we can use and it for them to better their lives, because everyone is what we call a genius level talent. But the only problem, people, they think a genius level talent is either yimba kana actor, that's what can get you famous, of which they're wrong. A genius level talent is something that you pursue whether or big. For example, Gordon Ramsay, that's his genius level talent. He's a celebrity chef, like Dr. Oz. He doesn't sing, he doesn't act, but he's a celebrity doctor, because that's his genius level talent. So you can be a genius level talent by kuchaira road jam. You can be a genius level talent in check a sora or get a soro. But a lot of people just don't realize it, because they think for you to have a spotlight, which is a problem. So we try to educate through our trust these things, that you know what, you do not have to be an actor or a singer for you to be popular, or you to do great things in your life. You don't. You just have to find something that you like and pursue it. Relentless, whether the ruthless aggression, whether it was on Chigiya, cannot Chichi, it doesn't matter. Just have to pursue it, because their personality, those things can happen. Versace or Gucci, because but that's his genius level talent, and then it made him, go high up there. So that's what we try to do at our trust. Try to identify, work with children's homes, other NGOs, we partner with organizations as much as we can to improve, especially those less privileged. So that they can, experience the things that, maybe privileged kids do.
And what are you working on currently?
Right now we're working on this project. We want to take, various children homes to, art galleries and sculptures in Harare, in Bulawayo, anyway, just to try to motivate them, because someone, I went to this children's home, I won't say the name. So this guy was painting, he was painting this abstract painting of Harare. It had a lot of things on that painting. You could see, you cannot see it, but if you step back and try to look, you could see a lot of things.
Wow.
But it's just a picture of town. Like if you look it up close, it's just a picture of a town. And so we just want to encourage, my youth, my children's home, right? This is exactly what will happen, right? Because if we had the resources, I would like to take them all to this museum, the Louvre. It's in France, right? That's where the house painting by this black guy is called Basquiat. I think he's here in Da Vinci, because his artwork is like you can buy one painting for about $100 million from that guy. And that's where, the Mona Lisa, the famous painting, the Mona Lisa is, just to show people that, of course, we're in an environment that may limit you, to say, I understand, I'm not interested in artistic and that, but doesn't mean, so that's what we want to teach these kids, to say, don't give up. Even if we don't have that kind of market here, we have it elsewhere. That's why you see, I told you at Atlanta, there's Shona artwork everywhere. So that's what we're trying to do.
All right. And is it that you go in search, Kuti, this is where we want to go to, or other people can actually reach out to you to say, Kuti, Tine, my young people who are actually talented that can get in touch with you?
It goes both ways. We identify the places and other people actually come to us and say, this is what we want to do, this is so and so. So I think it goes both ways, because, as much as we want to go forward, it's what we are planning this, we also need to listen to what the kids want. Because you can tell them that the national sports, you are national gallery. It won't work, right? So I think it goes both ways. You can either come to us, we will tell you our ideas, you tell our ideas, and then we can work together for common benefit.
How can they reach you?
So you can reach us on our number. It's 0719 039 952. 0719 039 952. Or just look at us up on the internet. Is the Decibel Trust. There's everything there. Our address, we're at Old Mutual Hub 825, just in town opposite Wadzanai Gardens.
Okay.
And we have people working there. We have everyone they are more than interested for you to approach them, and say this is what we want to do. It's so because it's like literally our job, so we don't have a problem with that.
All right. And apart from Decibel, is there anyone else that you have been working with when it comes to community outreach projects?
Yes, definitely. We work with Reach Out Foundation, we work with Artisan We work with Dorcas, this nice lady from Cape Town. Like basically I work with a lot of people. Sometimes I even forget about, they send me something and then I'll be like, I'm very sorry that I've forgotten. But basically what philanthropy wise, I work with everyone. It doesn't matter so as long as it's something that helps people, because at some point in my life I was helped by someone. So for you to retain the favor, you just have to help someone who cannot help you. Because that's when you reach a certain type of knowledge or knowing certain type of people, the best way you can do is to take that knowledge and give it to someone who doesn't have it. So that's basically what we're trying to do. We might not be giving people money every time or what, but we believe that knowledge is important. If you know something and you tell someone, if it goes down, you can change your whole country by that. Just like what happened in America. There's this there was a black literature writer. It was called W. Du Bois. What he proposed was for us to answer this race question, we simply have to educate 10% of the black people. So it was called the talented 10 theory. That if I educate you on what's happening in the country, so you then go and educate this other 90%. So that's what we believe in. We can use that theory, the same theory on everything. If we educate this person, go and educate this person, until everybody's enlightened. So I think that's where the business is.
And where do you see your journey going? Because you have started in school. You're hosting awards. From awards, now you're acting. From acting, now you're getting into the community from that. Where do you see yourself going to?
I really don't know. I would like to know. But what I know is I definitely like acting, so that's the route that I'm going to take. But everything else will come with me. Because, if I say I've went to Hollywood and now I have $100 million, it simply means I now have the resources to amplify what I was doing with the awards, what I was doing with the charity, what I was doing with other projects that we're working on. So I don't really know where it's going, because you can never know in life. But what I do know is that acting is what I want, it's what I love, and then I'm going to pursue that journey. And if it comes to fruition, it actually gives you infinite resources to just deal with other projects that you're working on.
And is there anything, are we going to be seeing you back on the screen apart from Wadiwa?
Definitely. We're going to see me back on this series called Jiva. This time they actually gave me a role of the role that I wanted. I know that I was not gangster on Wadiwa. I was some sort of a lover boy. We like to bobby, but this time I always wanted to act as a gangster, terrorizing people, doing this and that. So I don't know when it's coming, but it's coming very soon. It's a Zimbabwean production, but it's a South African Zimbabwean production. It's very nice. I think people are going to love it, and we'll see where it takes us from there.
That's amazing. As you've heard from him, there's just a lot of things and a lot of art that is out there. You just don't have to be a musician or an actor. There's so much more that you can do, and so much talent that is within you that you need to unlock. We'll be right back.
When you think of having the best, world-class, hassle-free, corporate or personal events, think Real Sound, offering a wide range of products and services with different sizes for LED and TV screens to suit different occasions. There's state-of-the-art PA systems that give you real sound. When it comes to event lighting, Real Sound is the best, not to mention the Sparkles machines. Want to appear in another planet? Try the cloud and smoke machines. There's also top executive furniture for corporate events. For all your virtual meetings, look no further. Get in touch for a free quote for your next event. Contact Real Sound via email or phone number. Real Sound, just passion.
Welcome back. We are here on the set, encouraging you guys to keep sharing the page, keep sharing. Make sure kuti vanhu vanonzwa this inspirational story from Albert Takudzwa Chigiya, who's telling us a lot of motivational stuff that even young upcoming artists can have a word on. Kuti at least wakaudzwa nemunhu ari muindustry kuti what is really happening and what you can do to better your own chances of getting into the industry. Tiri Papo. Now I think maybe let's get into the industry itself. Kuti, is it a difficult industry? Because people are scared of the art industry.
You don't have to be scared of the art industry in Zimbabwe, because there's no art industry. There's no music industry. There's no film industry.
Go on.
There is just people who are producing content, uploading it online for people to see, but there's no industry. The reason why I say that, we do not have production houses which are more focused, on maybe film or music, like in South Africa. You know, imagine what will happen in Zimbabwe, Nickelodeon or Universal or Sony Pictures, you know. So it's up to us to create that industry. And in our problem, therein lies our opportunity. You understand? Because we have a problem, but therein also lies an opportunity. Because right now we could start a company that's bigger than Universal here because there's no production house that is that big. That's why you see it took us. Netflix came, I think, 10 years ago or 20 years ago, right? And in that 20 years, we only had only one production from Zimbabwe, Netflix. You know, and it's actually almost disturbing to learn that from a country with such big actors, a big artist, because, you know, internationally we boast of many people. We boast of, you know, Tandy Newton, we boast of Danai Gurira, we boast of Tongai Chirisa, we boast of all these people. But despite that, the fact that we have someone who is in a production that's the highest grossing film of all time, but still back at home, there's no industry, is somehow disturbing. But there in our problem lies our answer, because we have the platform to create such big houses. You know, so nobody has to be afraid of the industry unless you're afraid of tabloids, because there's no industry. We are here to create it slow by slow, bit by bit as we are going. I think if the industry in Zimbabwe, the entertainment industry in Zimbabwe right now is so run by social media. You understand? Of which in America or in South Africa, it's nothing like that. There are major big houses. You know, we've got Ferguson Films, we've got Morilla Pictures, we've got Stained Glass Pictures. You know, those are big production houses that get nominated at the Emmy Awards. You know, because if you want to be an established artist in the world, in the whole world, I'm sure you should have what's called an EGOT. That's an Emmy Award, a Grammy Award, an Oscar, and a Tony. And if you see South Africa is nominated to Kuma Emmy Awards, it means they're doing something right. And in Zimbabwe, we've never, ever been nominated in the Emmy Awards. I've never heard of a production in Zimbabwe that was nominated in the Emmy Awards, right? I'm sure that we get nominated to Kunema Film Festival and Cairns Film Festival, which is nice. I'm not saying it's not nice, but we want to be where the cream is. You understand? Because we want to see Slick Pastor sitting next to Will Smith. We want to see, you know.
You're dangerous.
No, okay. No, maybe not Will Smith. Maybe get the Washington. But maybe not Will Smith, right? So we want to see those big actors sitting with other big actors. You know, because your network is your net worth. If I go right now, if I get an opportunity to go to the Oscars, I would make sure that even they ignore one that you see. So we want to see these things happening, but they're not happening because there is no industry that is there to facilitate those kinds of things. Which means visa, ticket, how do I even get into the Emmy Awards? You understand? So I think we first of all need to create an industry, right? It's everybody's dream, maybe an artist to be signed to Universal Music or to Sony or to Def Jam, like a hip hop artist is now signed to Def Jam, right? Japres is admitted attached, but it's also at Universal Music, right? But this is Universal Music South Africa. This is Def Jam South Africa. What we want is Universal Music Zimbabwe, Sony Pictures Zimbabwe. If it is like that, then the platform is now wide open for anyone. You know, if there were such kinds of platform, Ray Vines by now would have won a Nickelodeon Kids' Choice Awards or MTV Kids' Choice Awards. But there's no such kind of platform because they're just people who are doing their best to create content. Upload that content. People see that content and we get even ignored by corporates, even if they know that this content is big and can provide a lot of opportunities for both the company and the people that are there, because the entertainment industry and the corporate go hand in hand. They're like husband and wife. All the money that you want in the entertainment industry is half of it in the corporates. You see, that's why you see we do product placements. You see, I always tell people, even if you are watching Avengers, Ukona, Toyota, it's not a mistake. That's a product placement. Somebody was paid to do that, you know. But in Zimbabwe, I think we're still slow. We're still a little bit far, and you know, people are skeptical, right? In Zimbabwe, like especially the corporate, of which you cannot avoid those kinds of things, right? They just happen. Sometimes it's lies because people just want to fabricate things. Look at bed or something. But if we were to find a common ground whereby we sit down and say, no, we need to start this kind of thing that will facilitate everyone to do this and this, I think would improve drastically our entertainment and would have lots of content, even Netflix on Showmax. But right now we don't because there's no industry. That's the problem.
And who is responsible? You mentioned, Puti, the corporates. Who are the other stakeholders that can actually empower us to have an industry within Zimbabwe?
You know, first I blame the first part is the actors themselves. You know, when you're an actor, you cannot have an ego, or you try to be an introvert when you're an actor. It does not work like that. You know, I always give a perfect example of someone whose career was almost ruined because they tried to act like they are bigger than everyone. This is guy named Andrew Garfield, right? If you watch The Amazing Spider-Man, right? There's on Spider-Man, there's Tobey Maguire, the first one, then there's Andrew Garfield. He was the one casted after, then there's now Tom Holland, right? The reason why Tom Holland is Spider-Man right now was actually of a stupid mistake that Andrew Garfield did. He was asked by the director of Sony to go to some children's home so that, you know, in America, you know, people love superheroes, especially children. So he was just asked to show up, you know, in his Spider-Man costume, greet a few hands, make them feel good because these kids had cancer or something. And he told him that he was too busy doing, I don't remember the exact statement, but like he was partying or something. And then the guy said, you will never, ever, ever in your life, you know, feature on any Sony production. It was lucky that he came on that last Spider-Man because, you know, the guys were leaning and there was like, you know, we have to put him there because we're trying to show a timeline, right? That's the problem that most actors do have. You know, just because you get a little popularity, you know, you have a little pocket change in your wallet, you know, start to think that you're better than someone. So even if I'll be there, this amount, advert, you start saying, no, I want 1,000, because you have this weird version, you are popular, but you're only popular on social media. Right? If you're popular, and internet, so not to be popular. You're not, if you're not at that kind of level, you cannot have an ego as an actor. Yes, you can set a precedent of how you want to be treated by people, right? But you cannot have an ego. It's like Will Smith. I didn't really blame him for what he did because he set a precedent of how you want to be treated. There are some things you're not supposed to joke about, right? Of course, maybe I might have overreacted about, but he was taking that from, he set a precedent of this is how you should treat me. Don't treat me like this, right? You're allowed to do that, but you cannot have an ego, right? And then second of all, we go to production houses of distribution companies that are there. They try to exploit, not mention names, but they try to exploit people. You know, say, give us this content, right? And we have a lot of numbers, so it will be good for publicity. Publicity does not hire cameras or pay people. Even if you give me publicity, I think we were spared from that kind of narrative from Wadiwa Moyo because we have a lot of subscribers. Right? We even have that YouTube plug that they send you when you reach 100,000 subscribers. So we're spared, but it kills a lot of talent in Zimbabwe because, you know, we have to check out. I think Takura even talked about it at some point when he was saying that he was paid $50 for some gig, of which, you know, it's not quite right. The corporates, first of all, need to appreciate the artists that are in Zimbabwe for us to have a perfect harmony. When that happens, finally happens, I'm sure maybe we can find a common ground to, you know, bring these other big houses in Zimbabwe, but there's nothing like that. You know, even if you try to approach someone, come be in my video, or I was approached like this person said, I want you in my video, and I was like, no. And then he said, how much money do you want? I'm talking about, what money are you talking about? We're all trying to raise together. Just say the location, I'll be there. And then he was like, oh, but I asked this person, and they said that person is that person. Because they don't know where we're going, they don't know what's happening in the industry. All they're thinking about is the next bill and how they're going to pay it. So if you deal with a person who's like that, there's a problem, right? So we have to first of all correct the narrative that's there, the actors, the musicians, and correct the corporates. That's the only way Zimbabwe can progress forward entertainment-wise, because there's great talent here, extreme talent that deserves Grammys, Oscars. I say that because a lot of entertainment in America has got a Zimbabwean footprint. You see, Drunken Love was produced by a Zimbabwean person. You know, GE's has got a Zimbabwean producer. So I think we need to identify these kinds of problems first, address it with the proper authorities, come together and form a solid industry. That's the only way we can proceed forward.
All right. No, I hear you. And when it comes to, I'll keep referring to it as the industry, but at least we've got clarity now. When it comes to a lot of content that is being produced, I'm talking internationally, it is kind of in sync with, it's like what you were saying about your Glam Awards. Kuti, you make it in sync with the current issues. It's like Black Lives Matter. It's like there were so many things. Do you think that the industry itself, right now, with the content that is being created, is in touch with the community and the issues that are within the community?
It is not 100% not. Do you know why? If you want to look at an industry that is in touch and in sync with reality, look at the kind of adverts that are produced in that country, right? First of all, most advertising agents in Zimbabwe don't know what's called the target market. You cannot put Japanese Japanese not do any more than 14 years. Even if you think he's that kind of, yes, he's that big of an artist and easy. But that kind of advert does not go to that person. You understand? I always watch these videos out of Dar. You know, Zimbabwe was a power when it comes to advertising. I know South Africa right now we are paying and easy. But look at my adverts. I go Dar and Nestle and Cerevita. There's no cream in the fridge. You remember that advert? There's no cream in the fridge. That was a Zimbabwean advert, right? Yeah. But now people just look for someone who's popular. You know, pay them a lot of money, and then he wants them to post to his audience, right? But that's not his target market. If I had an ad agency and I was maybe advertising Fanta, I would give Fanta because Fanta is a youth brand. Even if you see all their adverts in South Africa, they are advertised by young people, right? True. You see, so I think for us to say the international reality is a far-fetched idea, because you simply have to look at the kind of advertising that is done in that country for you to determine if these people are in touch with what's happening, what's the trend, what's so, right? Even my man, you know, but like I said, when does it drip? What are you trying to say with those kinds of things? Should be looked at very closely, right? If you really want to see what's happening, right? And the main problem is you're dealing with people who just want money. They just want money, right? You need to even if people in Zimbabwe can say no. You know, if you're going to become a cake and take up of which is not supposed to be like that. You're supposed to, to approach and show not, this is not it and it. I would recommend someone who is perfect for that job. Like, for example, we've all seen Bad Boys, right? The movie Bad Boys. Martin Lawrence was the only person casted for Bad Boys, and he had to split his salary to accommodate Will Smith. You understand? Because he knew that together, you know, it's juxtaposing. Together they stood a bigger impact than when he was alone. You know, you are not going to that's the main problem. So there's a lot of issues that first needs to be addressed before we can go to these pertinent issues that are there in the industry.
And is there consensus? Can I say consensus? Where you have artists coming together. It's like what you were talking about right now, Kuti. You've got artists like Will Smith, you've got artists like that come together to work on projects. Is it like that in the industry? Is it that easy for you to make friends and have like some sort of consortium type thing happening where it's like, so that type of thing?
I think that only happens to upcoming artists. Because all these big established artists only go and look for money, of which that's where the problem is. I know of one or two artists who go and take, like, you know, these upcoming artists, put them on their videos or so and so and so. But most of them, right, they just go to these big people already and say, you know what, let's do this and this, and let's do this. They never really bother to look at what's happening right now, who is doing what right now. And that person could actually elevate their craft to bigger heights if they approach them than if I see one music video and this one's not singing but they're just making an appearance, it's just like, you know, ingori video. And it's wrong way to but they need to be that consensus. Like, for example, in South Africa, DJ Maporisa and Kabza Desmond, they always take on and every song that they do with an upcoming artist is a hit. You understand? Because this person is not known, and people are tired of things that are known already. I was also watching this documentary. Every song that they did, and Bang Notification, those are upcoming artists, and they are hits. You know, they go #1 in Africa on Apple Music, right? And I think our artists need to copy from that idea, because if you continue saying, no, we are just going to take this person, and so it will not work. It will not work. At some point, we are wasting time. You see, and we wake up 50 years later and we still have Cook-Off only on Netflix. We don't have Universal Music, we don't have Sony Music, we don't have Warner Bros. We don't have that. And, you know, even, alright, let's not go there. We don't even have Republic Records. We don't have that. Why? Because there's that that hate or that need yekuda kuita glory ndiri one. Kuti inini kana ndikati zvakafanira nditonzi maybe ndauya ku that South African blood and water. Ndichangokuti ndatopenga ndichatombodedza vamwe. That's the problem. You know, but if we just understood each other kuti no Albert uyakapa video yangu kana kuti Everson ngaipa video yangu kana kuti guys tine chakati chikuda kuita, let's do this. I think it would work. It worked when Wadiwa Moyo because we took Tinokadewere, right? He never acted, and that episode was so explosive because people didn't expect him to see him there. You see, so I think that's what we need to do as a people before we, go on to say, I'm not getting paid or any of that.
Yeah, and I remember we spoke about social media before. And is there a way that you think young upcoming artists can monetize their content on social media?
Yeah, they can monetize. You know, if you want Mari, your content and social media and stuff, you cannot count on putting 1 million views on YouTube. You'll be disappointed if I tell you YouTube no but Mari pay 1,000 views, you're gonna get 20 something, right? But the only way you can monetize your content goes back to what I was saying. The corporates is where the money is. You make content to introduce a certain story, a narrative, or to introduce an idea, right? When you introduce that idea, right, it can go hand in hand in maybe this other big organization that is trying to introduce a product using that idea, and you're the face of that idea, which means if they want to introduce a certain phone, Chigiya and Digi, they'll put you in the forefront, they pay you for the content that you created. They're not paying you for your face. And they could put anyone by the pub. They are paying you for that content that you created, that introduced you to them.
Okay.
You get the point. So that whole process is cumbersome because a lot of young artists, upcoming artists, they've got a problem.
Yeah.
The moment they say, that's in 3 years, they give up. They say, I can see national music. Maybe it's not my thing, right? But they first of all need to identify these things that I'm talking about. You don't ever think, I know good Apple, you can upload your music on $9, but that system in Zimbabwe, it's far-fetched for you, right? Even Jay-Z refused to put his music on Apple and then went to Tidal, right? His own thing. Because even Ukaiwana, in English got pocket change. You really need to lay a foundation in your country first before you go outside. You get that? If you do that, if you're loved in your country, chances that you get a show in a dream to host a WrestleMania National Sports Stadium. You understand? You totally eliminate host a WrestleMania National Sports Stadium, right? And because this idea, certain boy and woman, because when I think where do my ideas come from? Either go big or go home. Can you $1,000, $100? Because at least $1,000, it's worth it. $600. You get the point. So I think that's what we need to teach each other. We need to have these seminars. I always see we really like partying. Because in Zimbabwe, everyone is said from Monday to Thursday. Suddenly Friday, Saturday, Sunday, they're no longer said.
Yeah.
They're no longer said. They got these ideas. They're no longer posting depressing quotes. So I think we really need to invest more of our time in educating each other rather than going partying. So I know it's nice because I go there myself, right? But we need to make sure that we invest more for time and our resources, educating each other on how we can change this industry. Because quite honestly, nobody's coming to save us.
That's true.
Nobody cares, right? They've got their own country that's booming. They got their own country that's booming. They got Netflix. South Africa, office. BET, Viacom, MTV. Those guys MTV reality show South Africa. But what about Sirpeda? You see, so we really need to address these issues because it's very important. Otherwise, the end result will always be the same that happens with all our big actors. You get sick, they put you on TV, ask for donations, you die, they bury you, of which you don't want that.
Yeah.
We are here to change that narrative, because we can't have 10 more years so that's diminishing and embarrassing. And if you do that, everybody who's outside will be watching. They'll be like, this person was so big. So why is it they're asking the masses to crowdfund his burial or something? So the moment we still have those kinds of things, it's a problem. We need to address it. All
right. Thank you. Very insightful. I still had a lot of questions to go, but we have come to the end of this segment. Thank you very much, Albert.
Thank you so much
for gracing us with your wise words. In Karanini, I've got a lot of takeaways
No
from what you've given me.
No problem.
And for those that are watching, be you an upcoming artist or even a person who's still in the industry, be sure to take a word or two, or actually the whole thing, because this is useful information, especially to upcoming artists who haven't been in the industry. But guys, until next time, keep sharing, keep liking, and make sure you join us next time. Goodbye.